possible. Lynn is an intuitive healer with a specialized background in financial healing. She combines her intuitive nature and her wholesome approach to financial planning. To learn more about her financial planning services, contact her personally at intuit.com.
Have you been seeing numbers like 111 and 222 everywhere you go? Do you feel that the universe may be trying to get your attention, perhaps offering a message of some sort? As it turns out, numerical patterns and certain types of geometry form the very fabric of our reality, from cells under a microscope to the astronomy of our night sky. At Stellar Reflections, we offer special sessions which tap into these patterns, designed specifically to support you on your journey. The 111 and 222 activations are sessions activating new patterns in your energy field, which in turn can help you create new patterns in your life. After just one session with a practitioner, either in person or via distance, clients report gaining greater clarity, becoming more intuitive, and honoring their inner truth as they move forward in their lives. Curious about what these transformational sessions might do for you? Call 425-999-9836 or visit stellarreflections.com. That's stellarreflections.com.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
Do you want to achieve your goals? Do you want to strengthen relationships with others? Do you want to improve your financial status? Colette Marie Steffen is partnering with Mark Kettenbach to bring you an energetic upgrade online experience. Unfold and develop your full potential. Visit energeticupgrade.com today for more information. That's energeticupgrade.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Radically Distinct Radio. I'm Dr. Pat. Jen Morgan joining me here today because it is Radically Distinct Radio with Jen Morgan. And, you know, what that means is that we're looking at how you can become your most powerful brand and what that means in the world. You know, whether you're thinking that, wait a minute, I'm an entrepreneur, I just want to write a book, all the justs that you have in your sentence are really indicators that where you might be is a place where you think you're going to do it all by yourself. But it does take a team. But before you can build a team, you've got to get some insight. That's what Jen does. Jen, before we jump into positioning here and promotion, what's, again, the best way for people to find out more about you?
You should go to my website, jenmorgan.com. That's Jen with two N's, Morgan.com. And you can email me directly, j@jenmorgan.com. And please follow the radio show at Facebook and on Instagram at Radically Distinct.
Also, what I want to say is Jen's going to be here each month with us. And also, we've got a number of podcasts, which you're going to be able to hear as well. And if you go to her website and you take a look at what she's doing, you're going to get insight, you know, beyond what we're doing today. Today is an overview of what's to come, to get very specific about how she helps others in the world and how you are one of the others that she can help. Two pillars we're going to talk about next. You know, we're talking about positioning and we're talking about promotion, and both of them come with a little heaviness for some people. Positioning has a level to it that is misunderstood. Promotion is something that many people are absolutely shocked that they have to do for themselves. Let's start off with positioning, if we could. Tell us about that. How did that become a pillar, and why is this important in the mix?
Well, positioning is incredibly important today because the world has changed, and it's continuing to change at a really fast pace. So getting used to positioning is getting used to change and adapting yourself, your career, your family, your businesses quickly. You don't get to all of a sudden do rebranding every 10 years anymore. Your always rebranding in a sense, because the world is changing quickly. Are you on track to where you want to go? You kind of have to keep adjusting, keep evaluating. So that's why positioning is important today. What positioning is the context that you set for other people that allows them to make a decision, yes or no.
Yeah.
And most of us are so afraid to hear no, that we're not clear enough about the offer we're making in the world. And so if you have a really clear position, where you're coming from, it's not always nice to know that some people aren't going to come on your side, but it makes it much easier for you to stop wasting your time there and find the people who are going to be on your side. And it's really important also to just note you're always positioning yourself. The question's not whether or not you're comfortable with it, but whether or not you're doing it well. Yeah. Because if you don't do it well, you're not aligning yourself to the people who are helping you really express yourself in the world most effectively.
Yeah. But doesn't positioning get confused with other things, right? I mean, it gets confused with some not so positive aspects. We look at positioning and we get it all mixed up with, okay, positioning means I'm going to roll everybody over here. And you know what? Somebody else can pick up the body bags along the way because that's a view of it. That is not what we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. So in my webinar, I have a personal brand webinar. I teach people the difference between positioning and posturing.
Yeah.
Now, posturing, it's part of positioning because but let me tell you what it is first. So posturing is a way of holding your energy that signals to people who you think you are, basically. And we're animals. And the animal kingdom is the best place to take a look at what posturing is. So peacocks, for example, they show their tail feathers to attract mates. And bears, they show their fangs to protect their young. And monkeys, there's an alpha monkey. And then that alpha monkey walks around asserting his dominance until someone kind of comes and challenges him. So as humans, we have this posturing, and that's what we rely on when we don't know how to position ourselves completely. It's somewhat of a intimidation piece if you're not aware that you're doing it. And so oftentimes people will do this posturing in order to assert their dominance or assert their competitiveness that just creates so much tension that you can't actually figure out the difference between what's happening.
Yeah.
Why are you reacting the way you're reacting? Well, you're probably reacting that way because somebody is trying to intimidate you, or maybe you're intimidating somebody else, but you don't mean to. You're just striking a pose that's a little aggressive.
Yeah, yeah. And, doesn't this really tie in really well to promotion? Because I can see how they really do go together. That, I mean, they're the 5 pillars we're talking about. I mean, they each have this relationship. But this idea about positioning and promotion seem like they are really like twins or something, that they work so well together that it's hard to get one without the other, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Positioning is a strategy, and a strategy has a premise and a set of assumptions or beliefs, and you have to clarify those before you can have communication to promote yourself with that is effective to achieving the position you are trying to get from the perception of other people, right? See how I went even back to perception there. So promotion's about raising your hand and speaking up about your value, letting people know who you are. People get stuck on feeling like they're bragging. And the difference between promotion and bragging is it the right time? Or are you just going on and on about yourself because you want to look good? That's bragging. But promotion is saying, oh, you have a problem. I can solve with that. You know what? I have some skills that will help there. Let me know. I want you to come to this webinar coming up. If you don't tell people, then how will they get there? So promotion is really just saying, hey, this is what I have to offer. My people, come over here.
Well, yeah. And so promotion, hard. I mean, how often do we run into people where you say thank you and they're not even sure what to do with that? Mm-hmm. Now we're talking about you have a dream and you want to launch it, and you've gone through, and let's say it's all positioned all really well and nice.
Yeah.
And now, Jen says, okay, time for a promotion. And all of a sudden you go on vacation for 2 months because that's how scary it is, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right? How do you address this for people?
Well, see, the people that I find have the biggest challenge with it are very sensitive, maybe even empathic. And so what happens is when you promote yourself, you're sensing other people's response a little too much. So you overinterpret it, and then you've overinterpreted it a couple times. And so now every time you speak up about who you are, you have this memory of this time in which you felt stupid. And so there's that piece. So I have to figure out, where did they decide that speaking up about their value was not a good thing? And that's just kind of poking around and figuring out what's there. And then once they have that, it's also about knowing what to say and how to say it. And that's why personal branding is so important. You got to have some language that's in a business vernacular that will help you talk about the value that you do, not just what you do. You're not just a massage therapist.
No.
You help salespeople make money.
Yeah.
You got to be able to talk about it from that perspective. And it doesn't even matter if you're talking to your children. When you're talking to them about from a business perspective, you're communicating the value of what you're offering them in a way that they can understand it.
Yeah. And what is really interesting about this, we're not just anything. You're not just a radio host. You're not just an assistant. You're not just a flight attendant. That word "just," I think, is one of the most deadly words we have in our language right now, and we use it over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just to this. I'm just to that. Mm-hmm. I got really schooled about that by my stepmom. When she heard one of my sisters say something like, well, I'm just a housewife. And my stepmom went nuts over that. And, this is really, if we could eliminate one thing, just that word alone is a great challenge for us to do.
Yeah, I think the word, when you say that, just like you're giving yourself an excuse to not try. Mm-hmm. And we live in a world, in a society where we're been more taught how to fake it and how to fit in than how to be ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so there is no such thing as just. It's just, I don't even know what to say that would be, but it really is an excuse to not step forward into your most powerful brand.
Well, we're going to skip the break because I want to make sure that we're able to sort of talk about performance. Again, it's one of those words that when we hear it, if you're working in corporate America, you're thinking of the performance review. But we're really, if we've said yes to our passion, right, we've changed our perception, right, we've now positioned ourselves. We've even gone so far as to promote ourselves or what we're doing. Then, of course, we're going to expect some kind of results here, right?
Right.
And that's what you mean, isn't it, by performance?
Yeah. How do you deliver results? And how do you measure the results that you delivered? Because oftentimes especially, let's say you're a salesperson. Sales is very hard for people who are really caring about what you're doing because it feels like a rejection. But if you don't have a way to look at how you can improve your sales conversation, whether or not they say no, whether or not they say yes, then all you have is win-lose. They signed on with me or they did not. But if you say, you know what, this is what I was able to learn and this is how I could have identified this situation sooner, then you're starting to create performance goals that you can start to use to become better and to increase your conversion rate. And so oftentimes when I'm working with people with the performance, it's how do you evaluate how you did? And it's not just winning or losing, but about how did you play? How did you show up? And that information gives you more motivation. It kind of goes back all the way to passion. If you don't have a healthy perspective for how you performed and how you can improve, it's really hard to stay motivated. It's hard to keep your head clear and honest, having a good perception that you can win.
Winning is also one of those words that we're afraid. Mm-hmm. We're totally afraid to be like winning. Mm-hmm. But yet we're horrified to lose.
And therefore, people will play they'll play to not lose instead of to play to win.
Exactly.
That's something you and I spoke about.
That is right.
Yeah, I have a client who came to me 3 months ago and he said, I just got this great job. I'm just trying not to get fired. And I said, okay, well, tell me about the place you're working at. And it became clear that he actually there's a CTO position open up. And it's possible that they could bring in a CTO outside the company, but also he is the smartest person in that company from a technological standpoint. So I said, well, why not, instead of playing don't get fired, why don't you play, hey, I'm capable of CTO position. And it changes the way he shows up every single day.
Well, and when we're looking at this is we can take little bits and pieces of this, right? It's really interesting, to watch people that are out in front. And you look at them now, especially with the Olympics. We're watching these people do extraordinary things. But they didn't start there. Mm-hmm. They started with one step, one goal, one achievement, next step. What I love about the work you do in this